Good morning, guys. Welcome to our second lesson this week on indices. This time we're going to go one step further and work on dividing. Last lesson you would have worked on the questions such as this. It might have been like 5a to the 4 times 2a to the 5. And what you learned that if you're multiplying these numbers, you'd multiply the numbers first. 5 times 2 is 10. And then where the bases are the same, we could add the indices to make it a to the power of 9. Again, that's because you had 4 of the indices timesing together, and then you had 5 of the indices timesing together, which gave you 9 all up. So today's lesson, what we're working on is what happens if you divide the indices. So for example, you had a to, let's say, the 4 divided by a to the 3. So what we're going to do to start off with, before we look at a rule, we're going to look at the long version. Well, a to the power of 4 means a times a times a times a. We've got divided by, and then a to the 3 means a times a times a. Now, once again, if you're in my 8 Maths 7 class, guys, can you write these two examples down and make sure you've got them in your book underneath that heading? Now, the question I'm going to ask you is, what is 5 divided by 5? You don't need to write this little bit down, but 5 divided by 5 equals 1. What is 10 divided by 10? Well, the answer is 1. What's 100 divided by 100? The answer is 1. What is a divided by a? The answer is still 1. Whenever you divide something by itself, the answer is always 1. So what we can look at is saying a divided by a equals 1. A divided by a equals 1. A divided by a equals 1. And if I did it like the proper way, what you actually have is 1 times 1 times 1 times a all over 1 times 1 times 1. Now, in this question, 1 times 1 times 1 times a, well, that's just 1a. All over 1, well, the answer is just a. Okay? Now, that's in theory, that's what happens, but this is what we can say to make things a lot easier. If you've got 1 on top and 1 on bottom, they just cancel each other out. 1 on top and 1 on bottom, they just cancel each other out. 1 on top, 1 on bottom, they just cancel each other out, and so you're actually just left with the a, and that's what we had. Now, there's a bit of a rule. Just like the top one, when we were timesing the numbers together, we were allowed to add the indices together. So what's the opposite of times? Well, the opposite of times is divide. So instead of adding the numbers together, what's the opposite of plus? Subtract. So if I do it the quick way, 4 take away 3 equals 1, and that's just a. And look, that's the exact same answer. So the little rule that we're going to come up with, and again, what I would like you to do is to write the following down, and I want you to write this little rule: a to the m divided by a to the n equals a to the m take away n. Now, once again, if you can learn this sort of little rule, you just need to know that if you are dividing the bases that are the same, we can simply minus the powers. Now, for example, this question we've got here, we've got a to the power of 3 divided by a to the power of, well, there's no number there, but I can put a 1. So, the bases are the same. 3 take away 1, that equals 2. That's my answer. Now, if I wrote that out the long way, and some of you might like to do this, what you've got is this: a times a times a, that's the a cubed, divided by a. And what's going to happen, 1 will cross off the top, 1 will cross off the bottom, and what have we got left? Oh, we got a to the power of 2. See how quick it is? So again, I'm going to use this rule. This one I've got 4 on the top, 3 on the bottom, and it's divided by a question. So we're going to use the rule and we're going to subtract. 4 minus 3 equals 1. So I've just got q to the power of 1. Now, once again, if you want to do it the longer way, we've got 1, 2, 3, and 4 of the q's on top. 1, 2, 3 on the bottom, and I can just take one off the bottom, one off the top, one off the bottom, one off the top, one off the bottom, one off the top, and look what you're left with. Just Q. So again, if you forget the rules, guys, you can just write this out the long way. What about the last one, do you think? What do you reckon this could be? Hopefully you've said 6 take away 4 equals 2. Once again, if I do the long way, I've got 6 of them on top this time. So I'm going to draw the whole 6 out. All over, I've got 2 of them on the bottom. So if I cancel 1 on top, 1 on bottom, 1 on top, 1 on bottom, look what's left. Q to the power of, ooh, I had 4 on the bottom, didn't I? I nearly mucked that up. Be very careful, Mr. Pay doesn't want to get these ones wrong. I've got 2 more on the bottom, 1 on the top, 1 on the bottom, and 1 on the top. There we go. There's my Q squared. That's my answer. Alrighty, guys. I've got 3 more questions. Now, this time, I made it a little bit more challenging because I've got the numbers there first. My only advice, really, is to do the numbers first. Okay, and once you've got the numbers, you can then follow the rule where I can subtract the indices. 2 take away 1, 4 take away 2, 6 take away 3, etc. So let's divide them. 15 divided by 5 equals 3. And then I've got a to the power of 2 take away 1. Well, that's just 1, isn't it? So it's just 3a, or 3a to the power of 1. Likewise, I could do it 15a times a all over 5a, and then I can cross 1 off the top, 1 off the bottom. So 15 divided by 5 is the 3, and look, I got 1a there. Nice and easy. Okay, let's do the next one. 20 divided by 10, well, that equals 2. And if I subtract, because it's divided by, the powers 4 take away 2 is 2. I'm left with my answer. Once again, guys, we can rewrite it as 20 times a times a times a times a all over 10 times a times a. I can cross the top and bottom, so 1 on top, 1 on bottom, 1 on top, 1 on bottom, and look at that, I've got a squared left over, and that's my 20 divided by my 10 is equals 2. The last one, 50 divided by 10, well, that equals 5, and I'm going to subtract the indices. 6 take away 3 is just 3. Again, if you want to do it the longer way, we've got 50 times 6 a's being multiplied together, all over 10 times, we've got 3 a's being multiplied together. So we've got 50 divided by 10 equals the 5, and then a on top, a on bottom, a on top, a on bottom, a on top, a on the bottom. I got, oops, 3 a's there, which I've got 3 a's being multiplied. I've got 2 last questions, guys. These are some really challenging questions, particularly B. B is really tough and might be a bit too tough for us, but I thought I'll throw it in anyway. Okay, let's do this one. 50 divided by 5. What does that equal? Well, hopefully you said that's going to equal to 10. Make sure you write these down too, guys. Then I've got a6 divided by a squared. So 6 take away 2 is 4, so I get a to the power of 4. I got q to the 4 divided by q to the 1, so 4 take away 1 equals 3, and I've got my answer. Now, if you want to do it the longer way, certainly, guys, you're most able to. What you're going to have is, I'm going to try to do it small here, 50 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 4 q's, 1, 2, 3, 4, all over, and then I'll get 5 times a times just 1 q. And what you're going to see is, after I do my 50 divided by 5 is 10, we're going to cross the a's off, so 1 on top, 1 on bottom, 1 on top, 1 on bottom, and then I'm going to cross 1 of the q's off, 1 of the q's off. I'm left with a to the power of 4, and then I'm left with q to the power of 3, which works out. Now, this is the really hard one, guys. If you're struggling, don't worry about this last one, but if you really feel you're up to it, you can certainly give this one a crack. 30 divided by 5, that equals 6. Now, I've got 6 take away 3 is 3, and I've got 4 take away 10. Well, what's 4 take away 10? Well, that is minus 6. Okay, now sometimes you might get some harder questions where they don't want you to write them with a negative, but at this stage I'm really happy for that to happen. Okay, just a recap: if you are dividing the questions, guys, we want to subtract. So again, if you multiply, so a squared times a to the 3, we're going to be plussing those indices together. But if you're dividing, such as a4 divided by a3, we need to subtract the indices. It's the opposite, so it'd be a to the power of 1. So again, when you're timesing, we're going to add the powers, and when we're dividing, we're going to subtract the powers. Alright guys, it's over the 10-minute mark, so I apologize again. Have a fantastic day. Do the questions that you've been given in class. Any problems, send an email through to myself or Mr. Munro. Hopefully you might be able to ask the teacher, might be able to help out, all support stuff there. Have an awesome day, guys. I miss you, and I'll see you when I get back.